there exists a constant battle for survival. Welcome, my friends, to Atomics on a Friday, a fascinating journey into the realm of cybersecurity, data, and atomic testing. Today, we shall embark on an adventure with two seasoned experts who have roamed the cyber wilderness for years, honing their skills and strategies. Paul Michaud, a master of cyber shenanigans, has an uncanny ability to unravel the most perplexing digital mysteries. Alongside him is Michael Haag, a cyber threat connoisseur who has devoted his life to understanding and mitigating the ever-present dangers lurking in the shadows of cyberspace. Together, they shall guide us through the complex tapestry of this digital ecosystem, revealing hidden treasures and secrets that will undoubtedly leave us with a newfound respect for the world of cybersecurity. So, dear viewers, let us dive deep into the heart of this wondrous realm, where the forces of good and evil collide in an eternal struggle, and let us explore what it truly means to protect our delicate digital existence. Join us on Atomics on a Friday.
I think you are muted, but welcome.
Yes,
to
happy Friday.
Atomics on a Friday. Thank you, David Attenborough, again. We get him to do that every week, by the way. This isn't recorded or anything.
It's fresh every week.
Yeah, he literally dials in and does that for us. Welcome. It's so great.
Yeah, I think my favorite part is the forces of evil colliding. I don't know why. This is so good. It's awesome.
Sometimes technology has been wonderful to us.
Yes.
This is one of those instances.
Yeah. It's a great intern.
He's our intern. Let's
awesome.
jump in.
Yep. Got a lot of content today, which is always cool. Yeah. I'm Michael Haag, Principal Threat Researcher here at Splunk and maintainer of Atomic Red Team, LOL drivers, and threat connoisseur, and everything else our intro just said.
Yeah, all those things too. I am Paul Michaud. I am a Principal Threat Hunter at Red Canary, also a maintainer of Atomic Red Team. And I think that's pretty much all of my cool stuff. That's pretty much it. I don't have anything else cool like Mike does. That's why we put Mike first.
No, I just got the beard. Oh, you got the beard now too on there.
I do.
Yeah. That's hilarious. All right. Let me flip screens and buttons.
What are we doing today?
So today we have an agenda. Oh, we did. It's over here.
Other one.
Other ways. So basically, we're kind of on our series of like back to the basics of atomic red teaming. In this particular case today, I wanted to, I guess, a little bit go back over the Invoke Atomic framework because we're going to be using it again. So I figured, why not reuse it? And last time we went through Invoke Atomic, showing how to just use it locally on a local box. Sort of again today, the very basics premise is again to install it is more or less this all comes from our Invoke Atomic repo under the wiki, and it's under the installation tab. I'll drop it in the chat. But yeah, so these all come from there, and the idea is that if you want to install Invoke, which is the execution framework, it's these two simple lines, which the first one will download it, and then the little commandlet there will install the framework and get the Atomics repo. So it downloads the repo, gets to the execution framework, and ready to go. If you already have it installed, that second line there, actually, I'm sorry, if you don't already have it installed, the second line will do it through just straight PowerShell using install module. which is probably another really quick way to run and get this going. And then the last one is literally just installing the atomics folder. So if you have the framework, you just want the atomics, like you could just run that last line and call it. Okay, so PowerShell, you want to use invoke atomic red team to execute atomics on remote endpoints. This is fun, mainly because I feel like it's like this meme of how to draw an owl. And I was trying to do this a while back, and it had been a while, and using PS session is like just drawing. It's chaos, I feel. My biggest tip is if you're going to start down this road, which is what we're doing today, either use it on domain joined systems, log into your machine as like a domain account, and they're all domain joined, or local only. The other piece that you have to do here is obviously enable PowerShell remoting. I think in our cases today, Paul, we already have remoting enabled. Okay, so that's one hurdle taken care of.
Yeah, there's a few.
Go back.
Yeah, so with local authentication, there is additional steps that you have to take, as in things like trusted host and enabling basic authentication. As by default, it tries to use Kerberos, so if you don't have a domain join setup, it becomes problematic in that aspect. So if you can do domain join for your lab or for however you're running these, highly recommend that. If you are doing local to local, like a work group setup, there are quick commands you can run in PowerShell for WinRM to enable basic authentication, as well as quick commands for adding your IP addresses or IP ranges to the trusted host group that would enable it. And it needs to be done on both sides, on both endpoints. It gets really problematic at that point. But once you get it up and running, snapshot the machines, don't let them die, and never have to go through this problem again. But yeah, we thankfully had this already set up as I went through the struggles about a year ago, and so that's how long my lab's been going, because I don't want to ever have to do this again.
Yeah, it's a thing. Yeah, so I put the link here at the bottom, which I guess I could copy out too. Because I can't imagine typing that out manually. There you go. Again, that's on the wiki. So the idea, we both clicked it at the same time. It's on the wiki.
Trying to be helpful.
Yes. It's under the remote tab. There's a local tab as well for just running the frameworks locally. And yeah, that's kind of that. Last time we went over sort of the stage of an atomic. The process is very much similar to remoting when you do it with remote. There's input arguments still. There's dependencies. Obviously, your executor, which is outlined in the YAML, and then there are cleanup commands as well. All meant to just kind of make the flow of your testing beginning to end. And I don't even think we covered it on the last slide. But if you go back to the last slide, is what the commands look like for when you do get PowerShell remoting going. It's on our wiki, but the idea is to pass this variable of session or ses and have your PS session command stuff in there. So then when you go run the invoke atomic test, you're going to tag your T number, and we have a tax session in there, and that's where you pass your session. And then that will run that particular atomic test on that remote machine. Paul, did you set up anything to use like all the input arguments? Have you run that test with remoting? I didn't get that part.
Nope, we're gonna do it live.
Okay, sounds good. Ship it. All right. So I think that's it. Almost it for slides. Not it. We got these though.
Yes.
Graphics.
Invoke lateral. So
yes.
kind of a few ways that these, depending on how you're running Atomics, could play out. So if you have Atomics installed on an endpoint and you're going to say, this is where I'm going to execute my tests from, but they're going to be executed on a remote endpoint, that's kind of like stage one, or like the first instance, right? Like, so I have PowerShell installed, I have Invoke installed, my setup is configured for PowerShell remoting, and I say, hey, I created a session, I passed that session for PowerShell remoting to Invoke, and said, go execute it on computer X. That's scenario one, where the test is going to be just executed locally. Now, there are tests that say, hey, go execute this on some other endpoint. So depending on how you do this, you could simply say, go execute it on computer X, which then actually executes it on computer Y. So there could be some interesting like proxying down the chain, which is fine. Just something to be cognizant of depending on whatever test you're running, that if you say, hey, go execute on this, but it actually says go execute it on a remote one because it's technically a remote atomic, you get into like remoteception, where you're just basically sprinkling it out through the entire network. So just be cognizant of that. But again, if it's not a problem and you're just tracking, again, the end result state, it shouldn't be an issue. If we go to the next slide, actually, I think do that. Yep. Then you have kind of the scalability aspect now, where now instead of just saying, let me go run this on a single remote endpoint, I can, with PowerShell remoting, pass in 10, 50, 100 computers and say, store this as a variable, go blast this on all the same exact test on 100 endpoints, right? If we think about a network traditionally, we may have a golden image, but when we deploy that golden image out, it is not always the same, especially when we talk about different configurations for different business units, right? There could be different GPOs, there could be different tooling, things that just change the dynamic. So while the base is the same, configuration is completely different, especially when you're talking about security controls. A dev setup for a laptop could be completely different for somebody in accounting. So there could be different policies configured. So your expectation, even though it's the same test, the outcome could be completely different, which is really important when you're trying to validate, especially making sure that your controls are working or functioning as you think that they're doing that. So we're going to kind of look at this kind of setup today, where we're going to just simply run a remote command on using Invoke, but then we'll also look at how we could do something like this, where we can spin up and say, go execute the same thing on 3 endpoints. I think that's kind of it for like a couple scenario or caveats that could potentially occur from that aspect.
Cool. Excellent.
Yeah.
Do
it live?
Oh, yes. Next slide. Ship it.
It's broken still. All right, we'll fix
We're
it.
We're gonna have to get a new one. I think we just need to like visualize it, do it live.
I agree. Okay.
You want me to run it? You want to run it?
No,
Who wants to run
got it.
Okay.
All right, just make sure we see this. Okay, cool. I know the window's kind of wonky. Hold on, let me
full
just
screen. I can move our pictures down here too, if that helps.
There we go. Cool.
That's good.
So the first thing we do, I've already imported the PowerShell module for Invoke and have the Atomics folder installed, so I'm going to skip over that. But what we're going to do is actually set up a PowerShell remoting session to a single endpoint and then pass in a basic atomic test for it, and then look at some different parameters we could specify. So I'm going to create a PowerShell variable called ses. I'm gonna fix this.
Susp.
So we're going to use the new PS session module. We can specify the computer name. I'm going to use IP because I don't remember what they're called, and that becomes problematic. I'm pretty sure that's a valid IP.
Oh, interesting. I had issues using IPs over host names, but
yeah, I've actually had no issues with either one. Thanks, DNS. I presume that's what it is. Now,
probably.
If you're going to use, or if you're currently, the PowerShell session that you're currently logged in as, if that user has the ability to use PowerShell remoting on the remote endpoint, I don't have to specify a credential. If I want to specify explicit credentials or different ones that enable the remote session, then I can pass those in. And there's a couple ways I can do it. I personally like to use the get credential. It's going to ask me for the username. Good to go. If there was an issue creating it, it would throw in errors right here. So no errors. So far, good to go. So now let's go look at how we're going to actually do this. So let us do invoke atomic test. And we will do session. So in this case, all we're doing is we're saying we're going to run some scheduled task atomic. It is going to be specifically creating a local scheduled task using sctask. I'm specifying the explicit folder to my atomics directory. If you use the command to install, invoke, and atomics by itself, you don't have to do this. It will default it to the default directory where it gets installed, which is C atomic red team. And then I'm telling it I don't care about any execution logs. If you do care about those, you can specify your execution logger and then the session parameter. The other one we're going to do.
Oh, I was going to ask a question. Yep. When you do invoke atomic testing remoting like this, does it install invoke atomic test on the remote endpoint?
Nope. It's simply going to create and run PowerShell. So it'll actually create, I forgot what the process name is, WS something.
Okay.
It's WS something. I'm drawing a blank on the actual instance. And that will spawn PowerShell, which will then run the test. So you don't need to, it won't install invoke or anything on there. If there are prerequisites, which we're going to look into, actually, let's do get prereqs. If there's any prerequisites needed, I can pass the get prerequisites flag, and it will then go and say, oh, you need this file stored in this location. It will use PS remoting to go and put those files there, or whatever the prerequisites are, install dependencies, download a tool, etc., and then that's staged for the actual test. So in this case, we don't have any. But what we do want to do is take a look at doing what Mike pointed to earlier, which was prompt for input args. In this case, we want to look at, for this one, it's going to be the time. I don't care about the time. What do I want to execute? Command prompt is fine. And apparently spawn already exists on that endpoint, so air it out, which is not a big deal. We can just run the cleanup command. It will go and delete that task, as we can see here. So let's go back and rerun the prompt for input args. Good there, good there. And so now, on my remote endpoint, let me see if I can. Pull it up. I can't get out of the. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen real quick.
Fancy background.
I can't escape out of the full screen VM. Hold on one second.
You're good.
How computers work.
Which T number did you hit again?
That was T105, 1053.005, test number 2.
I will share that in the chat.
Okay.
And we also have a banner. This
think
is
the right test.
Red Team Struggles.
Holy smokes, I can't get out of full screen.
Now it's Maintainer Struggles. Is it VMware that's hosing you up here?
It is. I'm just going to close the app real quick.
Okay. Fine.
That's what happens when you do it live. At least the tests are working. this is a completely different, unrelated issue. So just letting you
Yes.
know, invoke works, PowerShell remoting works. This is
At
purely
least-
user error. This is Pepcat.
Yep. That's exciting. Yeah, you want, I can share my screen, or if you got it up.
I got
Okay.
it. Okay. All right, now we're back to our session thingy.
Test number 2. You sure was it test number 3?
Nope, test number 2.
No, test 2. Okay, cool.
Okay, so on ArtWinDev, we created a scheduled task called spawn. So let's go validate that real quick. I'm like 99% sure this is the correct endpoint.
Yay. Atomic remote test.
Wait, hold on. Yep, this is the right one.
Is it that top one? Atomic Red Team? The little one?
No, because it should be called spawn.
Oh.
That was the default name.
That parent process, WSM prob host?
Yes, that's the one.
Cool.
All right,
Got
we'll
it.
cancel that because I don't know what's going on with that. Okay, and the flashing of the screen was also bothering me, so we'll go back into that.
Sounds good.
Actually, what is that test? Let's go take a look, because maybe I'm just looking in the wrong directory.
T1053-005. I have
Do-do-do.
oh yeah, can't click that one, huh?
Test number 2.
Yep.
Okay,
Cast
it
in-
should have been right in the root.
Cool. Oh yeah, spawn.
Interesting. Okay, so not a big deal. And then, of course, as we saw earlier, when we first attempted to run it, we can then run cleanup. And that will go and remove said scheduled task. So this is an instance in which we can run one test, or from this endpoint in particular, the atomic dev test, to the other endpoint, which is .18, where it's going to execute it there. What we can do is pass in additional endpoints and scale this out, and it'll go execute it on multiple. So let's take a look at that. And then we'll also circle back to, actually, let me find a test real quick before I go and change the session where I'm going to execute this remotely. Okay, so here's what we will do. We will run test number 3, where I'm going to tell it, go execute it on test 3, but go execute it actually on box 4. So we're going to actually jump around. We're going to see how wild this remoteception gets.
Exceptional.
And
Yes. Oh, full screen.
input args. Go. Okay, target. We're going to say,
Wait, target what? Just kidding. They said like there was a new breach. Sorry.
I shop too much at Target. I don't need this negativity in my life. I will run command. The password for authentication. You're going to see
Atomic strong. Love it.
how secure my
How secure the organization you're pen testing. Got it.
Yep. Yeah, if you ever breach my home lab, it's not going to take much. The password is the same for all 20 users in here. Everything's wide open. Like, just have a blast. So have fun.
Nice.
All right. So now this went and created the test remotely. So it went from my current box to the .18 box and said, hey, on box .25, go create a scheduled task. So I basically just proxied the atomic test to a completely different one, which is fine. Again, just need to be cognizant. I could have simply said, hey, just create it locally and done, but it doesn't get the same impact that we were looking for from a remote when we want to see from one thing to another, that explicit, what am I looking for? Like activity, right? Like if I was on a box and I simply said, go create a remote one, I'm looking for specific network traffic. So that's what I want to see and emulate. So now,
and so we would see, so like if you were looking for like a detection avenue here, you would probably see something like box B, your middleman, contacting to create a scheduled task on box C at this point.
Yeah. So in our first test, we would have seen box A contacting box B, calling, hey, go run atomic. But then on box B, it would have ran locally on that box. So
nice.
But because we were only curious, or if we were thinking about how to detect this, on box B, I'd be looking for a scheduled task create, whether I'm looking at the process lineage from SC tasks, or I'm looking for my event logs, or the network activity, RPC instances, etc. Now, in the scenario we just ran, now to your point, Mike, I want to see activity from box B making the remote calls to box C, and that's where I'd want to focus, not necessarily box A to B or box A to C, but B to C. So again, not terrible, just need to be cognizant as we're doing that. So let's look at now adding in multiple endpoints. So let's redo our task and let's add in domain controller, box we just did, and I think maybe this one should work. I'll stick with the ones I do know that work. I don't remember which IPs are actually valid right now. The whole lab's a mess. I should probably rebuild it. Okay, so again, need to specify the user. And we got it. So now if we do get PS session,
ooh, man,
we now have 4 sessions running. And
5.
Yeah. Oh, I got
the same one 3 times. That's okay. They can run it 3 times.
This is gonna be fine.
We'll say 5. There's 5 things in there.
I'm gonna be curious how many times that actually tries to execute on .18 now.
I'm surprised the counting doesn't start at 0 for the ID numbers, but
yeah, okay. I gotta talk to somebody about this. This is everything else starts at 0. Index why start here? But anywho, I digress. So we can at least see these. If I were to, I could pass in a command into the task session parameter to do this manually, but instead it's easier to create a variable, put in that information, and then run it. So now let us do test number 2, and we'll execute the session. That didn't seem to work as expected. Oh, I know why. And I also know why. The first test, we couldn't find that scheduled task. I passed the wrong variable. I passed ses versus sus, and so that's why we didn't see spawn. But we can actually validate this now when we go back.
Got it.
So now we should see multiple instances of this being run, and we can see it, which is perfect here. So in 2 instances, we saw that it already existed, which is fine. And then on the 3rd one, it successfully created it. So now let's just run cleanup and just go remove it. And again, it's going to run it 3 times sequentially, 1, 2, 3, and it'll go do that. Let's rerun it. And what we should see is 3 spawn successes. 1, 2, 3.
Nice. Cool.
And so now we could go into whatever we're using, whether it's a SIM or an EDR platform, and we should say, okay, on these 3 endpoints, I ran this exact thing, and I should see these specific data points that I'm looking for sequentially. Especially thinking that, again, if all 3 of these should be collecting the same telemetry, it should be functioning the same, I should have 3 same results. If I don't, that's an indicator, right? Like that's why did I not see that? Did something occur with the test? Did something occur with the sensor and not collect it, right? So that's then starting to do that. So then you get into a whole data validation standpoint. And this is where we can start to scale our tests and make sure that, again, running them is a great starting point. But validating our configurations of our endpoints and inspecting where they should be is even better, because now I can ensure that, well, I hope that my EDR or other tool is collecting the data. I can prove it is or it is not, and then I can start to either ask why it isn't. Is it the right data source I should be looking at, or something else completely entirely that I should be looking for? So we can just start that. But yeah, this is just a quick way. And of course, there's also Invoke Atomic Runner, which I didn't get a chance to play with this week. Thank you to the vulnerability that was released yesterday. So I ran out of time. I also ran out of time to spin up a Mac VM to actually execute these tests from the Box DS shop. The same idea occurs for creating a SSH session. So instead of your variable being new PS session, you create a SSH session, you pass it in, and it would attempt to do the same thing, allegedly. I cannot confirm or deny that, but smart people wrote the code, so I believe that it's going to work. We should trust it, but also validate it at some point. Coming back full circle on this whole theme of trust but verify.
Yeah. I'm really curious to see like Windows to Mac, because that would be interesting, or Linux, I guess, at this point, if we can get anything. Maybe that's the next one. Maybe honestly we do a Linux Mac one soon, Mac atomicing. I think folks would really dig that, because that's just a space that's not hit too much.
We can make Jose do it.
That's a good point. He was a rock star at it. I don't know if he's here for us today, but
that's okay. We signed him up for it.
Yep. See you on the next one, Jose.
Hope you're ready.
Oh, that's good.
Sprinkle in some cloud too.
Yes. Yeah, that'll excite him. He'll be here. He's already here, I'm sure.
Just waiting for the jazz to roll in.
I know. I did two things on my end. Same test, except I only had one machine to hit laterally. I did the T1053 one from box A to box B. What we're looking at is box B. And so here's all those like atomic scheduled tasks that it creates. These Goots ones are custom. They require Goots in your environment before you can like actually get these. So don't mind those. But otherwise, these all came from the 003. I just ran all of them. And then on box A, where these all initiated, very similar process, exactly the same, actually. Let's head over here. Close this one. And in my particular case, I had, let's see, where's my RDP? There it is. Close this a little bit. And yeah, so yeah, basically the same. I did the same kind of like SES thing. I had my one session created. You can see I'm logged in as administrator in the range because it's the domain I needed, because last time I blew this up and I pretty much disabled everything and started fresh 12 times and it was chaos. But yeah, I got it to work. And so, yeah, here's I'll run cleanup because that'll be an interesting, see if it kills everything that's over there. Looks like it is. Oh, there we go.
Oh.
Unregistered scheduled task. What did you? It's making up things. Otherwise, you can rerun it. And there it goes. I don't know if it likes that one or that one.
Yeah, I think there were some prerequisites on a couple of those that require like Office or some other things.
Oh, yep. Is this the Windows macro code Office Word? Yeah, I think I remember this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's not there. Denied. And then the other one, which I actually borrowed from the wiki, is T1218. If you don't know what that is, it's been a hot minute, right? This is the Red Surf 32 Scrub J Squibbly Doos.
Good old
And
Scrub.
yes. And so I ran that as well. There it is.
What you could do, which would be really fascinating, again, if you want to get into the whole proxy through a proxy thing, is you can run a lateral movement technique where you execute it on box B, which then laterally moves to box C. That would be a good one.
That'd be
DCOM
cool.
has a nice, interesting one for that. You should all look into that one. I forget what that is.
That's fine. Do you have any other ones I could run? Oh, they work. Here we go. It's not horrible. They're happening. Oh, there's
cats.
We have a crazy registry atomic. Where's it at? It's in my notes. Yes, T1112.
I do not remember this one.
You don't want to remember this one. This one is like, where's it at? T1112 atomic red team. This one happens to have only a couple atomic tests. So I will run all of them. There's like 56 now. Come on. Nobody cares about INF default install. Oh.
It might be hosed. So, actually, side rant. We need more registry tests. And here's why. When you realize that certain tools don't record all creations, modifications, or deletions of the registry, that becomes problematic. But
there we go.
You have to know where those gaps are. And so more registry atomics, the better, especially in the different hives. So in this case, this is a really good one if you're really trying to understand your collection and visibility standpoint, especially in the registry, being that that's a very common place that adversaries will stage or hide things or etc. So yeah, just use them all. I think there's one that does, like 20 registry keys? Like one of them does like 20 of them by themselves.
That's awesome. I don't think I've ran the whole thing in a very long time, but
it's only one way to find out.
Yeah, there it goes.
Oh, there it goes.
That's prereqs. I just wanted to make sure we had everything we needed. All right. Ship it. And that poor machine is done for the day. Oh my goch. Editing has been disabled by your administrator. Okay.
You've made too many. You've made too many requests to the registry.
Yeah, disable Windows command application. Cannot because it does not exist. Well, that makes me feel better. I can sleep at night.
Probably have to do a reversion on this box now.
Can't you just run cleanup though, Paul? Like that's what this is for.
Nah, still down. Oh, there it is. Error.
Not gonna
Those are the important ones that need to be cleaned up in order for the box to resume functionality, but they're no longer there.
Done. Dead cat.
But remember, you also have to hit certain criteria in order for certain events to start collecting or logging. Pay attention to that as well. What I mean by that is you have to meet some logic and thresholds in order for additional event types to be collected in certain instances for certain products. So just because it says it logs it doesn't necessarily mean it logs it every single time. What those are, couldn't tell you because black box magic, we have to figure it out on our own, which is unfortunate. But this is why Atomic is here. We can run tests, we can validate, do I see these specific registry key writes, regardless of what the value is? If I write something to it, do I see it? Yes or no? Very easy binary question. Then you can go into the whole philosophical debates of what's the logic that occurs? Do I care about these specific things? But in the standpoint of the understanding of, hey, it says it logs it. Does it actually log it? I need to validate that. And the registry is one of those perfect examples of that. File types are also interesting in some cases where not every file type is logged, and it will only be logged when certain criteria are met, thanks to event filtering. Pay attention to your event filters.
And pretty much most all EDRs and whatnot do a level of filtering, right?
All of them.
Okay, yeah, pretty much they impose.
All of them have some forms of event filtering, some more than others. Some have thresholds that need to be met, and there are a lot of event types that actually have their own like event filtering configurations. Falcon Force has a great series on the internals for one specific EDR that talks about that, going into some of the specifics, that there are certain event types that have their own configuration for collection of when they start collecting, when they stop collecting, how much they collect of it before shipping it. They're like, data's expensive to store, and so collecting everything is not possible at times. So there are certain things which make sense, but in some cases, you're just like, give me the data, which is unfortunate because I will determine whether I want this data or not. But unfortunately, a lot of our commercial products are hidden behind walls that we will never get down, but we can do our best to better understand the limitations so we can better determine our gaps and visibility coverage.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. I think that's a massive selling point for using Atomic. And if you're not, is understanding that coverage where, you know, those gaps within the product you're testing, say during an evaluation. I think I was just trying to find it. I don't remember the name of it, of course, but there was a recent project from a group that released the EDR.
The
Gap.
EDR collection, telemetry collection matrix.
Yep.
Costas and some others.
Telemetry. There it is. Always on the Googles. Oh, that's not it. But EDR telemetry. Yep, found it.
Yes.
Here we go. Do it live.
Found it,
Here.
but if you need it. Oh, you got it? All right. I'll share it in chat for you all.
Yes. Yeah, pretty cool. There's like a whole comparison table here of all the different products of at least what they could collect. I thought there was there's a larger spreadsheet right here. Just recently updated, and you can see, boy, that's a lot by product and all the different categories here on the left of what they do or do not collect. Yeah, that's a lot.
Seeing a lot of reds.
Lots of focus on just process, file, network, registry. Not enough focus on everything else. Look at that.
Wow. To be fair, in some instances on this, if you go back to the driver, while a driver load or unload may not explicitly be its own event type, generally speaking, they're treated as loaded modules. And so you will see them being loaded. Most of them do record the file hashes of those as well. And so it may not be in its own explicit event type. It's kind of grouped in with others. And I can confirm that on... Yeah, so there is some disparity in some cases, but can't confirm or deny explicit ones. But can say that drivers are treated as kind of like DLLs in some cases, so they do get recorded in a sense as like a PE, and so they do get recorded. Yeah,
and a lot, and I know with like, I wish they had specified maybe potentially which one, like Carbon Black version, but like back with response, like you mentioned with the DLLs, drivers are also picked up in the old school like binary store. So they may not show you that it was loaded per se, obviously through
or
module
modified.
loads. Yeah, but at least you would know what drivers are in your environment. But yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, that's cool.
No, but great starting point, great data points to go in.
What's this, trash can? Oh, Windows event log. That was a trash can. Looks like French fries. Trash can. What is it?
I don't remember.
Don't know. All right.
Can't tell.
Trash can.
Good enough.
Is it a potato waving? Like, what is it? Oh, it's a log. It's a log. Okay.
All right. We're good.
We solved it.
Event logs. It's a log. All right. Yeah.
Get it.
It's coming full circle. We got it.
We'll figure this out. Cool. All right.
You know what I didn't see as a data source on there that maybe I just missed was RPC.
Oh, yeah. I don't think RPC is captured if you look at it. Nope.
It's not.
Unless they put it under network. Nah, it's TCP, URL.
Yes, you could consider it event logs.
Device ops. Group policy modification. That's interesting. Yeah, they have a category called other relevant events. I see pipes, but yeah, not RPC. And I think a couple of them do RPC, right?
They do. And if you can search the internet, you can find out where. And you could also go look at specific Twitter posts that have also given you specific links to that.
So yeah, RP sizzles. Whee. Yeah.
Which I did see that there is a training at DEFCON, not DEFCON, but Death. DEATH Con in November, has a training session on use for filtering RPC and LDAP and using like firewalling. So that is an interesting.
Well.
I ensured to grab my ticket virtually. Very excited about this. A lot of great set. They haven't even announced any talks yet, but the training and the lab stuff is top tier. Like I could spend those 2 days purely just in the labs alone, let alone talks.
Yeah, it's immense.
It's stacked. So if you can, or if you have not, go check that out. Really cool con coming up.
I see Jose is speaking, Anton, lots of folks. It's awesome. Or workshopping. Matt Green.
Yeah, got a couple saw two Atomic workshops. So if you're looking to do cloud stuff, Jose's running that. Another Atomic workshop. Anton's kind of purple teaming style with credential access on Windows and Linux. So that's pretty neat. I'm really looking forward to that one. RPC stuff and LDAP, really looking forward to that one. But yeah.
So 3 tickets remaining.
3. So better get on them.
Yep.
Better get quick and get good.
All right. Did you change the slides? Or did I? I think I did.
I think you did.
Okay.
Yeah, there's the last one we did our demo. I did throw 3 links in here.
Oh.
So Atomic Runner, so that's from Carrie Roberts. Her talk introducing Atomic Runner. So if you're looking at scaling detection and validation, kind of using atomics, like that's another new addition, technically 2 months ago now, because now we're into June. Detection validation is another interesting blog post that the detection validation team here in Red Canary published, which is another great read about scaling it. And then tangentially related was a Netflix blog that I read that they posted yesterday, which was a really fascinating read, especially talking about scaling and testing, different context of, from like detection data standpoint, but really interesting kind of variations or, abstractions, if you will, for scaling, testing, and validation. So that was 3 great posts to go check out.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. Cool, man. Yeah, the Netflix plug kind of blew my mind. I mean, I know they do a lot of amazing things, but the idea of like creating a whole separate infrastructure and then just like replaying in it is awesome. That's so mind-blowing. It's huge
And just
scale.
like, oh, hey, here's 24 hours worth of what would be normal traffic.
Yeah.
Let's just capture that and replay it into our dev or, kind of secondary environment to do testing and strain on it. But of course, like, think of this as not like, oh, hey, I ran 3 atomics, but like I ran 40 million atomics across the globe in different data centers and captured that and was able to replay it. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I love reading stuff like this. And again, there's great abstractions of how you can kind of do some scaling and validation from that standpoint.
Yep. Yeah, it's crazy. Wild.
Yeah, let me just replay this entire day's worth of signals. Like, okay, just a couple button pushes and let it rip. I'm sure there's way more complexity than just button pushes.
Couple buttons.
But like, I'm sure it's at that point now where there's like, okay, yeah, just send it over there. But building the infrastructure and the tooling behind it is always fascinating. So if you like that stuff, go read Netflix.
Yeah.
Scaling it stuff that's top tier.
That's super cool. Awesome, man. Well, hopefully everybody got something new out of this, and this is again part of our atomic basics, atomicing in the basics, and we will catch up next time. What are we gonna do? Mac Linux, Jose? Linux?
Sure. Yeah, why not? Jose can't say no, so it's not here.
Yeah, exactly. Jose will be back again in 2 weeks, and we will do some atomicing on Linux, maybe some cloud, lots of cloud. That'll interest him. So we'll be safe. But yeah,
he might be interested. Might know a thing or two.
I'll get him. We'll get him.
Right on.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much, Paul. This was fun.
Thanks, Mike. I always enjoy this. So
it's a good time. I know. Next time I just need more coffee. All out.
Yeah. It's getting late here, so my coffee consumption has ended. Otherwise, I'll never sleep.
Sad. It's only noon.
It's
like coffee lunchtime.
Yeah. You can get fit one more in for the day where you're at. Good to go.
At least a simple 10-ouncer.
At least a pot or two.
Yep.
You got time.
There's enough. We're good. We'll figure this out. Oh, all right, buddy.
We'll catch you.
Hope everybody has a good day. See you later.
Toodles.
Bye.